I spoke to my 4th grade teacher, and she told me her #1 summer advice for parents is to get your kids reading a lot.
That is pretty good advice. What better place to start than in the Minneapolis Public Library? I went there. I met up with a book expert. She's a founder of a really great website. It's called wordsbymom.com, and she gave us a list of books perfect for all of your young readers. I'm at the library with Heather Feldstein. Hi, Heather. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, you are all about getting kids reading, keeping them reading all summer. Why is it so important to keep your kids buried in books even though they're not in school?
For so many reasons. You know what? They don't have to be buried in the books all the time, but, you know, introduce a little bit of reading, a little bit of literacy in the summer between the splashing at the beach and in the pool and all of that stuff. The studies do show that our kids sometimes tend to regress when they go back in September, and understandably so. I have the same challenge with my children, getting them to read in the summer, and I don't always push it. If they want to read, great. I always suggest it as an idea so that it's always kind of there in their mind, but I'm not going to push it, because when you push it, it's not fun anymore.
Well, and we're here at the beautiful Minneapolis Public Library.
Yes.
Coming to a place like this has got to be pretty inspiring, right?
It is, and I have to say I'm so impressed with this library. I'm from out of town, so this is a really, really great children's library. They have so many resources.
I kind of think you walk in and you automatically want to start reading, but you've got some great ideas, especially for the younger kids starting out. Some of your favorite picks. What books do you have and what do you love about them?
You've got Seriously, Just Go to Sleep, which is kind of, you know, like the grown-up version that we've all heard about.
Yes.
But it's a really, really sweet book, and it's written very poetically, and it's in rhyme, and it's just the rhythm of it is really lovely, and after every verse, the last word throughout the whole book is sleep. And it's also a really lovely story because it really talks about the universality of trying to get our kids to go to sleep at night.
That is terrific. Okay, what about this one? Say What?
Say What is very, very sweet. It's a really good book when your kids are at that age that, you know, you're still saying, ooh, what does a cow say? What does a bird say? And they're learning what different animals say. And so that's also a rhyming book, which is really lovely for the younger children. And it talks about, you know, when the duck says quack, does he really mean snack? And it gets you thinking about what the animals are thinking, which to me, it kind of inspires a love of animals from an early age.
Really good. Okay, and then The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes. Wait, is that book about us, Heather?
Of course it is.
Never made mistakes. What's
Never,
this one
not
about?
once. That's a great book. It talks about, you know, the value of actually making mistakes, and, well, not the value of making mistakes, perhaps the value of learning from your mistakes.
Absolutely.
And the freedom that you feel. This girl never made mistakes, and it got to be so pressure-filled for her. And she didn't take risks because she was afraid of making a mistake. So she missed out on a whole lot of good stuff.
And what other ones here?
How Full Is Your Bucket for Kids? That's a version of the grown-up book, How Full Is Your Bucket? And it really talks about the idea of you feel good by doing good.
And then Every Friday is?
Every Friday is a lovely book by Dan Yacarino, written and illustrated by. It talks about the bond between a father and a son, and it's written from the son's perspective about how every Friday when his dad is walking him, you know, they have their little rituals, their little things that they do, and it's a very, very sweet classic story.
So do you recommend when parents are bringing their kids to the library or to the bookstore, just encourage them to go whatever they're attracted to? Or what's the best way to kind of guide your kids in learning to love to read?
I would say a bit of both. I would say it has to be kind of a guided free-for-all, if you will. I think certainly the parents should arm themselves with a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of, you know, perhaps suggestions of books, which is where my website can come in really handy for them. But don't limit your children to just that, because a book that you choose isn't necessarily going to be one that your child likes. Let them go pick out books too, but you could make it kind of the best of both.
Heather, thank you so much.
Thank
we
you so much
appreciate
for
your time.
having me.
Maybe we should just hang out here and read all day.
I'm good.
It's a good spot.
It's a great spot.
So I'm kind of embarrassed to say that was the first time I'd been to that Minneapolis Public Library.
It's beautiful.
I mean, it is so shockingly beautiful and stunning in there. And if you really want to take a great field trip, I would suggest totally going to that library. Of course, so many local libraries in the Twin Cities.
So I can tell by the accent there, she's from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
She is Canadian, yes.
And you know Toronto is south of Minneapolis.
We just had a little geography lesson in the Twin Cities live office in our meeting. Was that yesterday?
And I brought that up. You know how I learned that?
How?
From reading.
Wow.
And if, thank you.
John can read,
I can
everybody.
Thank you.
Yes.
And if you just learned that now, you learned it from watching TV.